Tragic events in history, Sonic's death.
In September, I made a video on Sonic Frontiers giving my impressions on the game, and how it could actually be pretty awesome. And once the game finally came out, I played through it in a couple of days, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but it could have used a delay. This ain't gonna be a review or breakdown of the game or anything like that. Instead, I want to discuss the most standout part about Frontiers if you ask me, the Titan bosses as Super Sonic. The first time we heard the idea was from that Sonic Rangers leak that we got so long ago, that was surprisingly on the nose, and Sonic fighting the Titans ended up getting pretty heavily hyped up from marketing of the game. This is such a lame transformation though, I can't be the only one that thinks this. And then I finally get to play the game myself and it's like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever, I can't— Yeah, these are personally my favorite parts of the game, despite them definitely not being perfect in the slightest, and I want to break this down. Specifically the Titan bosses for the first 3 islands. I'll save the final Titan for later, pretend it doesn't exist right now. To kick things off, they introduce the Titans of this game in a really fantastic way. Around the start of each island, the Titans attack Sonic in his regular form, showing how powerful they are. Giganto literally grabs Sonic and throws him straight at a mountain to show it doesn't mess around. The Wyvern launches a bunch of missiles at Sonic, and then the Knight launches his giant ass shield disc thing at you. Any part about these encounters that I did notice is that Sonic handles them better each time. Sure, the first time, Sonic gets bodied, but next time he knows to make a run for it and escapes in one piece. And then finally, he confidently escapes Knight's attacks and gloats about it to Sage. Regardless, these encounters are an effective way of showing the player of why Sonic needs to get the emeralds to stand a chance. And then after a bunch of exploration and cyberspace junk, you finally make it to the Titan. Unless you're the Wyvern, all you do is just climb up to the top of it and get the last emerald. You also better have a lot of rings once you get the emerald, otherwise you just made the fight way harder for yourself. I'm so sorry to all those that didn't know. This game really is a definition of not having training wheels, and that goes for these fights as well. You're told to beat the boss before you lose rings, but visual communication is really lacking in all of these fights. You kinda just have to figure out that you should be parrying attacks most of the time. And I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people that didn't realize you can parry the missiles in the second boss. That was me, by the way. I don't have footage of it because of that. I did quickly figure out I can parry and grab this shield though, but I've seen people spend a bunch of time not knowing what to do. These fights are like the ultimate video game test of how much you can figure out on your own. Now as for what you should be doing in these fights, it's a lot of parrying and attacking. Every time the Titan starts a motion, that's when you should be holding down the parry buttons. The best part about parrying though is that if you hit the right button combo, you get to see Sonic do the sickest move towards the boss. My favorite one being when Sonic grabs the Wyvern by the tail and pulls a Mario 64, except that Mario had the goddamn strength of the Hulk. Sometimes you'll be flying around until you reach the Titan, or have to fly a shield straight into the thing as missiles harass you. I really wish it didn't hit you with so many missiles so this would be more bearable. Now for as simple as it is, attacking the Titans and spamming a bunch of moves just feels good to do. I'm not about to break into some sort of psychological science, but the feedback from attacking gives me satisfaction. Sure, the camera can be whack, and when you take away the spectacle, it's not all that deep. But I'm still having fun. I don't know why. I'm lying. It's a spectacle. It's definitely the spectacle. What am I saying? Maybe it's just because it's been over a decade since Super Sonic was somewhat relevant in a mainline game, but seeing him here made me realize how much I miss this golden flying hedgehog. This is easily the coolest Super Sonic has ever been in any game. They finally remembered that Sonic isn't loved because he's the funny guy that can make a joke about my mom. We love him because he's the coolest little guy doing the most badass shit our eyes have seen, and that energy is in all of these fights. You can't just have me play as Super Sonic, flying around a giant cyber dragon in order to punch it in the face, and expect me not to be amazed at how awesome this feels. It's definitely style over substance, but that style is delicious and I'm still feasting on it. Although if I were to be honest, a big reason I love these fights is the hard as fuck music blasting throughout each one, while the rest of the game has calmer pieces or EDM for cyberspace. The Titan bosses. Yeah, this is incredible. I know I can just listen to these songs on YouTube, and I assure you I am indeed doing that as I write this script, but something about hearing these songs while playing the game for the first time hit in a way I did not expect, like oh my god! I just also want to put this finisher of the third boss on screen. I know all you do for these segments is quick time events, and there are janky fade to blacks for each moment, but come on man. I'm gonna make this my whole personality, I swear to god. Now throughout this whole talk, I've neglected to talk about the final Titan / final boss of the game, and it's for one reason. I think it's kinda doo-doo. Perhaps it's because my expectations were too high, but this final fight did nothing for me. All this dude does is fire easy to avoid projectiles and push you back. This thing has a giant gun and only uses it for a QTE that's the most underwhelming one of the whole game, like, huh? And while I do like I'm Here as a song, I mean, come on. Don't even get me started on the extra phase when you play on hard mode. What is this? Like, legitimately? It's literally just Ikaruga, and yeah, this is more mechanically solid than the supersonic fights. There's more substance here, but I'm sorry, that style was way tastier than this lame looking shooter that I first tried. The final boss is literally just a giant moon. That's the villain. Matt Braley is a Sonic fan, and he ended up making a cooler looking version of what this finale is, and that's just a fancy way of saying to go watch Amphibia, please. Final note about this, if video game boss fights were food, this boss would be this PB&J sandwich. Like, yeah, there's probably some good stuff inside it, but I mean, just look at it, it's so bland. Anyways, the main point of this video is that while the supersonic fights are really flawed, I still had a lot of fun with them, and they got the creative juices flowing within me, so that's gotta mean something. They definitely needed more time in the oven, but so did this whole game, so it's what it is. I have a Twitter if you want to follow me there, I do art as well, please notice it, and yeah, have a good day y'all. Well, that's the end of the video, so thanks for making it to the end, I guess. This is a bit different from my other videos, it's a bit more focused on edits and such, so I hope that was kind of fun for you. Now, this is the part where I say you should subscribe, so, you should subscribe. Anyways, yeah, have a good day, y'all.